As a child, I often went to, obviously, Allesley Park, and we used to go into the garden. And I suppose it's like the story of the secret garden. As I've grown up, and obviously into adulthood, I've sort of observed how the garden's changed. As a nurse, it's quite a busy job, and it's there's a lot of communication that goes on, a lot of talking, whereas I find gardening very physically hard, but soothes the soul.
Morning, you all right?
I can't take any more of those bags, so just put them in the park. Tea time!
I've been a gardener most of my life. I'm 65 years of age. I recently retired last September. I still do a little bit of horticultural work now and a little bit of horticultural therapy just to keep life ticking over. I started working at the Allesley Park wall garden early January when I was 15 years of age. We started at 7:30 in the morning. We finished at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the winter and 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer.
Right, let's get that third one in. Those of us that work here really enjoy the atmosphere of the place. Our gardeners, getting on for 20 of them now, work here every Saturday right through the year. We all keep coming back week after week.
Well, I got involved in the walled garden because as a teacher I could see the potential for involving children. We did growing at school, and children in my experience love to grow things. My dad grew vegetables. Less people perhaps do that today.
I come to the wall garden because I like to grow organic vegetables and I don't really know what I'm doing. I came to the wall garden first time probably 10 years ago with my daughter when she was in a pushchair. I bought some of the vegetables, took them home, cooked them, and they were far better than anything I could get in the supermarkets. I come to the garden now really to learn how to grow organic vegetables. I've got an allotment, don't really know what I'm doing, so I come here and I kind of reproduce whatever we do here on my own plot.
What's important to me about the garden is that it's a historic garden. Historic vegetables and flowers are grown in the garden. The history of the garden itself I find fascinating.
He's always very wary of anybody.
Oh, right.
The monthly market is where we get our funding from. A fair number of activities go on there.
This gets me out into the fresh air. It's a complete change to the regular work that I do. I'm a corrosion engineer. It's a little bit of physical exercise. So what's the most important issue for the garden? I don't think there's a single most important issue. Part of it is that it's a community facility that you want people to come round and enjoy. Then again, it's important to keep the heritage preserved.
I live at the end of the road and I don't have a garden that I can get involved in, so thought I'd do something useful in here, and it gives me a chance to meet people and keep busy really. My day job is a youth worker, working with young people 11 through 19. The most important thing in the garden is people getting on and making a difference. Everyone's got a chance to come and meet other people.
I was a volunteer with another group for many years. as Allesley Park Ward Garden was near, I decided to try there. Well, what's the most important thing about the garden? I think that it's keeping it alive, because I think it's good to retain these more historic things for people to enjoy.
They'll be all over the place by the end of the day. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh.
I chose gardening because I used to go up with my father in the late 40s and early 50s to his allotment. We would take my old pram with our tools in and our bits and pieces, and off we would go. And I knew then that that is what I wanted to do. I realised he'd been through with my mother through a world war, and there were shortages. And the only way that you were going to feed yourself was to dig for victory. There's no such thing as a weed. It's just a plant in the wrong place.
Does it work? Yeah. Yeah, it does actually. I've got 3 in the greenhouse.
I garden because I like gardening, and it's one of my hobbies. I like working with the soil, I like digging, I like weeding. The enjoyment is in the gardening, not in the end product always. Probably it is the flower part of the garden that I prefer. I go there for peace and quiet. I don't actually need to talk to other people really. I can talk to the flowers like Prince Charles.
I am a widow. I've been a widow now for many years. Fortunately, after the shock of my husband dying, I've been able to get on with my life. Yes, I haven't found life too bad living on my own, really. I've got lots of good friends. How important are new members? Well, very important, really, because you need to keep the flow of volunteers going, as some people, for all sorts of reasons, can't go anymore. It doesn't matter what age or gender you are, you can come along and do your bit in whichever way you can. I'm very interested in the cake stall. I love baking. It seems everyone likes homemade cakes. We try to provide a variety of cakes, large and small. I think most markets, without fail, we sell everything.
Anyway, we need to have
I've never tried that. What's it like?
I make cards and wool things and bags, any craft type stuff which people like. It's not over expensive, so they can buy them for presents and all sorts. And it helps raise money for the garden.
We love coming here, it's brilliant.
Every day I walk up and I have a look into the walled garden to see what progress is being made. I think the work they do, the volunteer group do, is wonderful.
You see people going to supermarkets, they're going to all these different department stores, and they're so used to vegetables being absolutely perfect. What they don't realise is this, that organic vegetables are much better for you. The carrots are in the ground, we've been through a very dry spell, they tend to hit the stones. This garden here is a very, very gravelly elevation, but there's nothing wrong with the carrots. They're perfectly okay and great to eat.
Some honey goes quite thick, which is like this, and it's from the oilseed rape, which crystallises in a few weeks.
that probably wasn't the best place for somebody to choose. He keeps playing now, we don't take off.
Just so that you can move on at the end of the task, we will ring a bell, and it means then that you finish that task and move on to the next one. Do you want to follow me, guys?
The winter weather in here, although you get the frost and the cold, it's not as bad. You are more protected. What we're going to do, we're going to clear the area that we're going to plant seeds in of weeds.
See what I'm doing? Yeah, get all that stuff off.
We've got a plan, man. Tom's in sorted. All in half this year, we grew up an estate. There's a lot of earth on. Say it slower. Did I do homework? Oh, that's all it.
Just there for the first conversation.
That's so cool. You can see where they're going. Where was it? Charlie Charles.
These old historical characters.
That was a good one.
Okay, a nice little weapon. And then 6 inches apart is about like that. I'll just have the fork. Okay.
Hey, boys, have won! Yeah!
Although I live some 6 miles away, for me is the highlight of my week because that's something I really like to do.
And you can't. Well, you can only get 70 years. I noticed. Yeah, we'll see.
And then once the leaves are off and they're bare, we can then see what we're doing, you know.
I just helped dump all the compost there, but we just got mounds of compost.
Yeah.
No, but walk between the trees.
It's a pretty good social group. I've got to know 10 or 15 people. We get on really well. We've got shared interests. The organic side of things is kind of controversial. Some people aren't quite so keen as others. Personally, my view is that we need to leave the soil in a fit state when we finish with it in 20 or 30 years' time, so that the next generation can grow organic if they choose to. Most important issue for the garden this year has been water. We've had a really dry year, and a lot of our crops have done really, really poorly on account of not enough water. We've got a really old well in the garden, and for ages I've been wanting to open the well up and use it as a source of water. Somebody at the moment has opened it up. We don't know who, well, I don't know who it is. I'm just really hoping that they manage to get down to the water supply and find out that it's good and we can use it. Hopefully we'll get more rain next year, but other than that, it's kind of soul destroying, really. The good thing about coming down the garden is that you're actually aware of the seasons changing. I work in IT in an office, and I've been doing that for 20 years, and from one week to the next you haven't got a clue what the weather's like outside.
It's just quite magical. There aren't walled gardens everywhere. They're quite special, and I think it would be interesting to see how this could be better developed still. There are never enough of us to do all the work. I think there are other benefits as well. There's a huge variety of people work together in the garden, and I think it's lovely to get to meet people from different backgrounds who actually have got the one interest in common.
Charlie Gardner was a gardener here as well, but in Eilif's time, but unfortunately he's dead now, you know.
Well, I think it's all down to my dad, really, because I used to go to the allotment with my dad when I was very little, and I just loved growing things. Did a lot of gardening with my dad, and then when he gave his allotment up, he still grew vegetables and things in our garden at home. And once I'd got any kind of space of my own, I wanted to garden. I suppose I focus on flowering plants rather than things to eat. I have grown the odd few tomatoes.
So what we'll do, we'll just get our forks and just tiddle the weeds out.
This gets more exciting now as to getting where we want it.
I was hoping that willow there would be blown out, you know.
It's very nice through the seasons to see things starting from scratch. There's something happening in every single season, either preparation for the year or harvesting the produce and so on. Surprising how many people get involved in the garden, and then after a while you find that they're recovering from some kind of physical disability or injury of some description. Older members naturally become less physical as they get on in years, but then again they've got tremendous experience to pass on. It's nice to be here in a crisp winter, time to do some work on the walls.
The walls are in fact made of handmade bricks. We understand that it was just at the end of the period when handmade bricks were still being used. There was a clay pit here where they were made virtually on site. They are of course put together with lime mortar. They are very attractive walls.